Hi there, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. After my last review of Finger Eleven's Them Versus You Versus Me, I had mentioned how I don't often rate an album as a 10 out of a 10 album. Because to me, there are so few albums that are honestly 10 out of 10 albums where from beginning to end they're a fantastic album, they're a killer album, there's no bad song, and even if there is a album cut or a filler song, that album cut or a filler song is still 100 times better than what most bands release as a single, or has more depth and feel than what most bands release as any song on their album. And if you haven't read it and already seen which album I'm covering, this is what I would consider a 10 out of 10 album. I don't know what all this goop is on the front. It's probably paint. Believe it or not, this was actually my sister's album. She had bought it and then ended up giving it to me because she never listened to it. Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic. Okay, so there's no bad song on this album. In fact, every song on this album is such a killer song and such an amazing song and such an essential part of the Aerosmith repertoire that it's on the Pandora's box set basically in its entirety. They change out a couple tracks, I think, with live tracks instead. But let's just start. Okay, so the album opens up with Toys in the Attic. So right from that beginning where it kind of does that and it punches right into the song. What a way to start the album, man. And that fast ass riff, that just like, oh my god, fast ass, like, beautiful guitar work there. I mean, just killer gets into it. And the song itself is just so enjoyable. I mean, the one thing about Aerosmith is Aerosmith always has danceability to it, always has groove to it, always has that hook that gets you where you can move to it and sway. And Toys in the Attic does it. It just gets it going perfectly that way. Um, After that, we slow down right away going into Uncle Salty. But it doesn't slow down into like a ballad-esque thing. It slows down into just kind of this slow kind of shuffle almost. Little swagger to it. Um, Great little vibe. Kind of creepy lyrically a little bit, depending on how you want to look at it. Well, maybe not how you want to look at it. It really is kind of, we'll say, the predecessor to Janie's Got a Gun, at least the way I see it. But when you think of the stuff that Steven Tyler was doing at this point, man, yeah, you gotta wonder if it was maybe, him talking about himself being Uncle Salty a little bit there. All right, then we go into Adam's Apple. Adam's Apple is one of those songs where you honestly never know it by the name, okay? Like, if you're a true Aerosmith fan, the heavy duties, sure. If it comes on the radio, you're going to know the song when you hear it. It's a good, great, solid album track. For the longest time, it was played on the radio. I do remember hearing it. But you don't realize that the song is called Adam's Apple. So I think in that way the song gets lost a little bit when it really shouldn't be. From there we go into the one, the only, arguably Aerosmith's most popular song, Walk This Way. Okay, so that drum riff, that it's simple. It's great. The drums are not as simple as they sound, okay? It actually takes quite a bit of coordination and effort to get that drum pattern just right. A lot of foot pressure work. It's fantastic. But the whole way around, it is a great song. It is a wonderful song. And I know it kind of gets a bad rap because it is an overplayed song. My God, it's an overplayed song. But fantastic song. Really, truly, yes. From there, we go into Big 10-inch record. All right. You know this is all double entendre, and Steven Tyler has always said that he's actually talking about putting on a big 10-inch record, the big 10-inch record. But there's a line in there where he says, "Sept on my big 10-inch record." Everybody's always said it sounds like "suck on my big 10-inch record." Most likely, it was done that way on purpose. It was, that whole pushing that envelope. Great song though, and I like the fact that it has that old. Oh, I can't even think of the type of music right now. It's kind of, it's got that kind of boogie woogie kind of vibe to it, but 50s boogie woogie kind of vibe to it. Anyways, moving on. From there, we go into No More, No More. Highly underrated song. Guitar work on that one. The intro, man, that beautiful, beautiful. And the way it kind of alternates back and forth between that really pretty strumming and, the chording really gives it some dynamic and some feel. And once again, this is an Aerosmith song that used to get tons of radio play. And it really should get tons of radio play again, cancel out some of those other crap ballads they've been playing from the 90s that they like to keep playing. And bring songs like this one back because it's so much better. And it's not a ballad either. It's just a great song, From there, we go into Round and Round, which one of those songs that, reminds you that Aerosmith can do heavy when they want to. They get that big, thick, heavy atmosphere, not just that fun kind of thin rock. Because that's the thing with Aerosmith. Aerosmith always has, even though, you've got your two guitarists, two fantastic guitarists. Brad Whitford is highly underrated. Joe Perry, by the same sense, might be slightly overrated, but fantastic. No, I can't say that Joe Perry's overrated. Joe Perry's awesome. But both of them together, it's sad that Brad Whitford gets shadowed the way he does by Joe Perry because Brad Whitford is just as essential with the guitars. Tom Hamilton is a great bassist. And you can hear the bass throughout all these albums, but the bass doesn't have that great bass kind of bass tone. It's kind of buried a little in the mix, I find. And the drums, Kramer's drum work, top-notch drum work, all over the place. He really is an underrated drummer, I think. And then, you got Steven Tyler doing the vocals. And Steven Tyler doing the vocals is Steven Tyler doing the vocals. But usually, they really have this kind of thin sound to them. It's very rare you get to hear them get this kind of big, thick, all-encompassing heaviness. And Round is one of those times where you do really get it. And it's really nice to hear. And then the album finishes off with You See Me Crying. Now, normally, if an album finished off with a song like You See Me Crying, I might complain. It works for this album to close it out. It really has that perfect vibe. Once again, starts off perfectly, ends perfectly. And every track in the middle is a great track. There is no bad track on this album. You cannot tell me there's a bad track on this album. I won't believe you. I think the weakest track on the album is Adam's Apple, and that is purely because of the name of the track. Honestly. Other than that, solid album the whole way through. Perfect 10 out of 10 kind of album to me. And I know I normally shy from doing albums like this, but it's because everybody always wants to rate a lot of albums as 10 out of 10s when they're not really, to me, 10 out of 10s. This one I will say is a 10 out of 10 because there's no bad track the whole way through. Like I said, they do the Pandora's Box set, and on the Pandora's Box set, this whole entire album is included in there. You cannot tell me that does not make it pretty much a perfect album, okay? Like this, my sister bought this album because to her, it was a greatest hits album, when she bought it. And, when she knew all the songs on here, and she's like, yeah, okay, I'll pick it up. It's a greatest hits album from that time. thinking that it was an old school greatest hits album, where it wasn't. It was just one solid kick-ass album, you know. This album belongs up there to me with albums like Alice Cooper's Killer, which also does not have a bad track on it, which I covered very early on. I'm trying to think of some other albums. To me, Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here or Dark Side of the Moon do not have a bad track on the album anywhere. You know, it's just wonderful. Anyways, this is a classic rock album you should all have. Go pick it up. Comment section, let me know what your thoughts are. Leave me your thoughts. Hopefully the noise in the background is not overly distracting. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, peace, love, take care.